Welcome back, Beards and Bolters fans. We're here with Josh from MiniWargaming. I'm Ryan. Seneca's here, just wants to say a few things. He's got a life that he's currently busy doing, so he'll be just doing a quick fanboyism, and then he'll be out, and I'll be talking with Josh here.
Yes, fanboy is the correct word. I am so humbled, and just thank you so much for taking the time out. This is what this hobby is about. This is what I was brought into it. I mean, it's just like a massive worldwide club of just amazing people that we all love the mini wargaming and tabletop wargaming and all that good stuff. So just thank you so much. You don't know what this means. For me personally, I really, I'm not even trying to oversell this. I mean, even during COVID, when we were shut down here in the States, I mean, it was just nothing but just bat reps. And I remember Matt came out with a thing. He's like, I'm not really sure how we're going to work this out, but it was just great when you guys were able to stick through. And like, I was so low at that point, and then, it's just been great. So thank you so much for taking the time out, Josh.
Hey man, I appreciate the kind words, and for me, this is what the game is about the community and all that. So I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys.
Great. Well, with that being said, I do have a life that I have to live, a very boring one at that. I wish I could stay longer, but I will see when this is recorded and comes out. I can't wait.
Awesome.
Take care, guys.
See you, Jeff. See you, Seneca. All right, Josh. So first off, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, living the dream. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. Knees hurting a bit, but hey, it's life.
Fair enough.
So we'll start into the questions here. What is your least favorite core rule of 9th edition specifically?
9th edition 40k, my least favorite core rule. Ooh.
I know it's a tough one.
I think so. To answer it in kind of a broad way,
go for it.
I am not in love with stratagems as a whole. I think it's a neat system. I just don't think they've quite gotten there yet. If I'm being perfectly honest, I like the way Age of Sigmar handles command points a little bit better. And yeah, generally stratagems. I don't know. I feel like they tie up too much of the flavor in certain armies behind the stratagem points.
Yeah, I can see that. As with Thousand Suns Codex just coming out, we just had a battle report we did for that. I'm editing it right now. But there's a lot of things in there where I'm like, I don't really feel like I need to use them, because the flavor of the army itself, especially with the Cabal point system they added to it, really kind of doesn't necessarily need the stratagems. Yeah,
no, I totally agree. And it's just one of those, it's just the odd, which one of my 10 squads is going to act the way the army is supposed to act this turn, because only one gets to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of weird and awkward. So second question. 9th edition seems to be moving towards general homogeny for an army. More armies seem to be sharing winning strats, weapon profiles, things along those lines. Do you think this is good for the game, or is it something that kind of lessens the individual feel for each army?
I think it's trying to strike a bit of a balance there with how many different armies that are currently exist in the game, and for every little individual piece to be different, I think that can be a bit much. So I think generally speaking, it is good for the game. I think there's already enough individuality, almost potentially the point of bloat in trying to keep track of every different army's different version of, like, this is your bolter, but what does the bolter from your army do compared to the bolter from this other army? Generally, I think the more streamlined that certain war gear can get, the better off it is.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and I completely agree. I'm sure, as you've noticed with playing multiple different armies, it's like, oh, great, now I have to remember these rules and these rules and these rules.
Exactly. So yeah, it's just I think it's a little easier to keep track of for both you and your opponent, generally speaking. Yeah, it's especially evident when you bounce between like 6 different armies.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I'm the same way. Is there any gaming systems that you want to play on your guys' channel that you'd like to be a little bit more mainstream so you could still, keep up your views and things like that on that?
Definitely. I mean, like we've recently got into covering bolt action.
Okay.
Which is one that I had been kind of pushing to find a way to get on the channel and have it make sense for a couple years now. But yeah, right now I think I'm really in love with a lot of the different Warlord game stuff.
Okay.
So if I had to just pick one random game that I wanted to be able to play and cover extensively, I'm very interested in a game called Victory at Sea, which is by Warlord, which is one of their World War II naval combat games, because I like boats.
Oh, hey.
I really like the naval games.
Who doesn't like boats? Boats are awesome. Now that you guys can have guests on again, are there any plans to do like a giant Warzone Apothis type thing again like you did last time?
Right now, yeah. So there's the general desire to do it, but there's no plan set in place yet. I'm very much kind of the one that kills everybody's dreams, where it's like we're going to start very small, we're going to start very basic, and we're going to work our way up to the big events. We're not going to start with them. So right now the focus is on getting guests back in for regular battle reports, and then moving on to running organized events and stuff like that.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense.
We are going to do something like that again. There's no strict plans for it yet.
Gotcha. Are there any armies that somebody else has claimed in the studio that you would like to play on the channel? I think you guys are usually fairly...
We've talked about this a little bit, because we've all got our different armies that we really kind of enjoy playing. Mm-hmm. And strangely enough, with everybody that works here right now, there's no crossover. I obviously have the best taste out of everybody here, so I'm already playing all the interesting armies, and yeah, there's no real strangely enough, not at all.
Fair enough. This is kind of a two-part question here. What factions are you most excited to see the 9th edition Codex for, of the ones that haven't released yet? And then, of the released codexes, which one do you think has been best and worst for the game so far?
Okay, so the one I'm most excited to see what they do with is probably the Imperial Guard.
Okay.
The good old Astra Militarum. I think there's going to be some very interesting, unique mechanics there. I've always liked the way that the Guard works, so I'm super excited to see what they do with them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's definitely the number one. And as far as like other ones, I think if I look at the AdMech Codex that came out, and this might be just because I play them, so I'm kind of familiar with how weird they were.
Right.
That was a toughie, because I felt when they released that, it was easy to kind of look through and pick out certain stratagems and the way that certain things worked, of what was core, what wasn't core, that like pretty obvious they were going to have to change them. Like pretty obviously they were going to be an issue. And so that was the one. There was a little bit of a head scratcher on that one, how certain things got printed, when I think it was painfully obvious that they were going to change them immediately.
Yeah. With that one, there was just so many rules in that too. Trying to remember everything. You got the doctrines, you've got the canticles, you've got what's Skitari, what's not, what's core.
The doctrine is the canticles. The one thing that I personally haven't gotten into a lot is the different holy orders, the upgrades for the tech priests.
Yeah. And
like each holy order upgrade you can take once, but it's got a two-stage rule, plus it gives you some benefits for command points. There's a lot to unravel there in that book.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think anybody ever thought that the Skitari Vanguard were going to keep the enriched rounds for one command point.
Yeah, no, that was way too powerful.
I don't know how that one snuck through.
Yeah, I don't either. As a fellow content creator, what is the hardest thing about making videos? And how do you deal with something that, before you finished it, you just know it's not going to be good?
Okay, so I think I'm going to try to answer this in two different parts.
That's
I think the toughest thing is remembering why you're making the content and who you're making the content for. I think the easiest thing for me personally is to get caught up sometimes in the opinions of the vocal minority. Mm-hmm. You look at it and you go, well, this one person's really kind of tearing into me, and but it's knowing that, well, cool, there's 20,000 other people that have watched this video. They don't seem to share that opinion, so I'm not going to sweat it. But every once in a while, people can kind of just somehow get under your skin one way or another, and
Yep, I've been there. I know the feeling.
You start to question,
yeah,
I guess what it is you are trying to accomplish, and as far as like I think you said, creating content that it's starting to go downhill as you're making it, and you kind of realize it's starting to go downhill.
Yeah.
It's making sure you find a way to make that entertaining, I think, for me. So the example that I would use is, if you watch some of my stuff, there's definitely some reject bat reps where it's like, I'm going to put the disclaimer out there of, hey guys, for one reason or another, I don't like this.
Gotcha.
So take it for what it is. Sometimes it usually comes down to, like a player making a poor decision and the game kind of falling apart because of it.
Yeah.
And, hey, that's life. That happens. It's not a big deal. I just want to make sure, the viewers know that, I made a bad boo-boo that, is going to dramatically affect this video.
Gotcha. What's your favorite play style?
Okay, so I would say I like, generally speaking, to go with the very flexible playstyle.
Okay.
In the sense of, I like the very reactionary plays. So typically, the armies that I like will be pretty firepower and mobility focused. I don't really care for a lot of the super close combat-y. Like, you definitely want to have some units that are able to punch, but I like having very flexible forces more than anything else, and reacting to what my opponent's doing, like trying to figure out what their game, like I don't usually go in with a game plan. I try to figure out my opponent's game plan and stop them from doing that, and somehow, now that neither of us have a game plan, hopefully I can be victorious,
right,
against the chaos.
As an extra question that we didn't give you beforehand, what do you normally try and do when you're picking your secondaries? Like, what is your thought process when you're doing that?
Honestly, I take a look at my army and how I feel like playing it. Okay. Hopefully I can turn that into a victory. I'm probably, if you want to win games, don't pay attention to how I pick secondaries.
Fair enough.
It's probably not going to work out. I kind of go like, how do I feel like playing today? And I look at my army and go, what do I want them to do? Well, cool. These secondaries sound cool. I don't always pick the most high value ones, or necessarily the most efficient ones. It's just however I feel like playing that day.
Gotcha. That's a good way to do it, especially if you're just doing it for fun. Yeah. Obviously, tournament would be totally different.
You can still have fun at tournaments.
That's true. You can. What's your favorite thing overall about 9th edition?
My favorite thing overall about 9th edition. I don't know, there's a lot of positives to it overall. I think on a very basic level, because a lot of people around here, and I've taught a lot of people how to play the game systems. It's easy to teach the fundamentals to newer players, so I like the accessibility. Because the more people playing in this hobby, the better off it is overall.
Agreed.
So I think I like the accessibility as far as getting new people into the game system.
Okay. That's a really good way to put it. What's something that you miss about Old Hammer? Whether it be models or rules or, weird interactions or anything along those lines.
So I think for me, when I look at the 7th edition rule set, probably one of my favorites overall, and luckily I play a good amount of the Horus Heresy game system, which is essentially using a 7th edition system, and just there's many aspects there, but the initiative mechanic, the challenge mechanics, the way that AP works, I really enjoy a lot of that stuff, and luckily I don't miss it in 40k, because when I feel like doing it, I just go play Horus Heresy instead. Yeah,
makes sense. I originally started playing Fantasy before Age of Sigmar, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
What edition of Fantasy?
The one right before they killed it.
Okay, so 8th edition. I started Fantasy in 6th edition, and then 40k I started in 3rd.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fairly recent to 40k. I started playing 40k in 8th edition.
Nice.
So, yeah. What is the hardest part about being this studio manager? That is your title, correct? Studio manager?
I can't keep track of what they call me, but I think that's probably my title right now.
Okay, so what's the hardest part and what's the best part?
I think the hardest part is just the responsibility of kind of having to step back and do what needs to get done instead of what I feel like doing. And I mean, everybody has to do that. It's just there's always something going on, so there's always something for me to take care of. So yeah, I think generally I don't get to play as much as I want to, and I don't get to play the game system that I might want to that day. Like I spend a lot of time filling in for people if something comes up or we need specific content. So yeah, just having to take the business decisions into account instead of just what do I feel like playing today. I think the best part is just getting to interact with the community as a whole. If you want to come in to play at MiniWarGaming, you're pretty much stuck talking to me one way or another. So
oh man, that must be horrible.
It gives me the chance to interact with a lot of different folks in the community, and I love it.
Awesome. That's great, man. It must be so bad having to interact with everybody in the community, you know?
It's nice. Yeah, like I said, I feel bad for the people that, don't feel like talking to me, but I guess you're stuck.
Yeah, pretty much. What's your favorite moment to have happened on tabletop while you've been at MiniWarGaming? Now, it doesn't have to be limited to 40K or anything like that. Just, what is your favorite moment that's happened?
Oh, his favorite moment, like... Are we talking like favorite moment in game? Like how specific do you want me to be here, I guess?
I want you to take it as you will, man.
That's fair. So I guess for me, some of the fondest memories I have would be I had the opportunity to do some writing for a campaign a while back. And that was there was a couple that I did, but the one that I'm referencing is the Death Watch Space Hulk.
Okay.
So I did all the writing for that. That was an experiment for us. I was able to bring in some of my favorite parts of the lore, and just getting to watch how Matt as a GM took my story and was able to take that and put it onto the tabletop, and the players reacting to things that I had added in, and then the community catching on to some of the Easter eggs I tried to throw in. I think that was that just the culmination of that all coming together, that campaign, probably is the fondest memories I have.
Awesome, man. That's great. And are there any current passion projects you're working on?
Right now, I mean, there's a couple things I'm super excited for.
Let me rephrase that you can also tell us.
And I hate painting.
Gotcha.
So right now, the two things I'm most excited for that I've got on the go is my 30K Imperial Fists are just about ready to say that the army's complete, then I can add on to it later.
Right.
But the first, I don't know, like 4,000 or 5,000 points or whatever should be delivered hopefully this weekend at the time that we're filming this. So very excited for that. And then also, getting the chance to work with Warlord Games and cover bolt action, and also, looking to open that up into other game systems. And so I've got a Victory at Sea starter set getting painted up. So like I'm beyond excited to get playing that and test out the game system.
That's awesome, man. Do you have any questions for me? Out of care? It's... Hey, why not?
Well, now I feel extra on the spot. I hadn't considered this. I hadn't considered this at all. I guess, my question is, when do you guys want to come visit? When do you guys want to come figure out when we get some games in?
Oh, I would love to do that.
At the bunker.
Yeah, no, I would love to come up there and do that, man. That'd be so much fun. We'd have to figure out how we'd film it our way, too, up there.
You know what? I got the facilities. You just got to bring the basic equipment you need, because I can fill in the rest, and whatever your style is, and let's do it.
All right. Sounds like a plan, man.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Josh. It's been great having you on here. Again,
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, this is Josh from MiniWarGaming. I'm sure most of you guys already know him. But it's been a pleasure having you on here, and I hope that we can continue this relationship.
Oh yeah, definitely. We will connect and go ahead. You shoot me an email. Anybody watching, if you're interested in coming in and checking out the bunker or whatever else, actually the same as these guys. Just email me, josh@miniwargaming.com. I do answer all of my emails eventually. So
yeah, it just takes some time sometimes.
I'm in and play.
Alrighty.